Well, hey there, Changemakers. Welcome to the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast. I'm your host, Amy Van Meel, and I'm here to inspire and teach changemakers like you, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, and people who are doing big things in the world, some tips, tricks, things about business, and we're doing some personal growth on the way. With that, let's dive into today's topic. Well, hey there, welcome to podcast number 32. I love number 32. So 32 was my favorite number when I was in high school. It was the number on my soccer jersey, and yeah, really has been a wonderful number to me. So welcome to podcast 32. It is Thursday afternoon when I'm recording this, which means I am less than 48 hours away from my birthday. I love birthdays. I love my birthday. So I'm stoked. This year we are going to the mountains for the day, which is my real true happy place. I love being in the mountains. The past few years we've been at my boyfriend's family's cabin, which has been nice, but I always find being there for September long weekend is sometimes a little bit of a bummer because that's when we actually close at the cabin. So I get like sort of a half a day, and hopefully the weather's nice where I could be on the beach, but usually it's cool and it just feels like the ending of something and less like a celebration of my birthday. So the fact that we are going to spend my birthday in the mountains this year just lights me up. I've been looking at the mountains as I was driving around the city this week and last week and just getting super excited for heading out there. They really are my happy place. So I wanted to jump in today. First of all, I hope that you listened to the last week's episode 31, which is the practice of pre-selling. In it, I share with you exactly what I did and how I went about booking 5 brand new design sessions in 24 hours. I made $900 in 24 hours. And I mean, it was amazing. I gave myself 48. I gave myself basically 2 days to do the challenge. You'd hear about it in last week's episode. But by the time I got it all sorted out, it was 24 hours basically of the time that I actually got things out and when the deadline was. So it was super fun, and it was just a real high note for me. It was a really cool exercise. I really loved it. And so it's given me confidence. Here's the cool thing. I just want to touch on this. When you try something different in your business, or whether it's your business or your personal life, doesn't really matter. But when you try something different and you go into it without a whole bunch of expectation, I know that one is a challenge. That's a challenge for me too, to release the idea of expectation. It's something I'm working on. But because I'd never done this before, and because I set up a very fast timeline for myself, it really gave me the opportunity to be like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, and I hope this is going to happen. And because I was so focused on just making contact with my clients, I didn't have time to sit there and like come up with a whole bunch of excuses and anything else. I'm like, I got to do this. So I really enjoyed it, and it got me excited about trying more new things. So stay tuned, because I will be trying a whole bunch of new things literally just as they come to me, as I receive that divine inspiration. And I take what I call inspired action. My coach calls it inspired action as well. Then be prepared. You're going to see some fun new things. And one of them that I want to touch on right now is the 3-day challenge. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday when it comes out, the challenge starts tomorrow. So it starts September 4th. It's the 3-day Launchpad Challenge. I'm going to talk about it a little bit further on down the podcast. So hang tight. I'll get to that and what we're going to do in those 3 days. So here's what I want to talk about today. I went this afternoon to a learning. I'll call it a learning session. So it's one of those lunch and learn kind of things. Now this one didn't have any lunch. Usually when I go to designer sessions, they provide lunch or something. This one didn't even have a water station, but that was okay. It was put on by one of our local banks here in Alberta, and they do a great job, and they have a whole entrepreneurship center. And the topic today was increasing your sales, basically 4 ways to increase your sales. So I thought, you know what? Usually I look at these things and go, I've heard it all before. It's probably not anything new. And, it doesn't seem to be working. What else can I do? For whatever reason, I thought, I'm going to try this one. I'm just going to go and see. Maybe I'll learn something new. Maybe I won't. It's only an hour out of my day. And if nothing else, it'll put me out of the house for an hour. So to start off with, today was a bit of a kick in the pants for my ladies in the house. You know what I'm talking about. It's day number 2, so I have pain all over my body. My energy is sucked into the floor, and everything feels like a gargantuan effort. So dudes, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And let me just say, be grateful that you don't, because geez, it's an uphill battle every month. Drives me crazy. So when I got there, I was all right, like traffic was a bit of a hazard. There was construction all over the place. Then I couldn't park in the parking lot. I had to go find street parking. And that small thing alone, because everything else felt like such an uphill climb today, I'm like, you know what? If I can't find parking in a half a block, I might just go home. Screw it. I don't want to work that hard to do something today. But I found parking like 100 yards away. So away I go. So I go in, and it's, like I said, it's all about sales. It's basically the 4 pillars of sales and how to maximize your sales. Now, I've talked about this before, that the local economy here has been struggling. And I've talked about the fact that we rely heavily on oil, and with the oil market being in the tank, the local economy is having a challenge, and there's lots of entrepreneurs, there's lots of new businesses that are starting up because people are losing their jobs, but there's also people who have had businesses for a while, and if they were doing a good business during the boom when the economy was really glowing here in Calgary, now they're finding that it's not as easy, and they're having to sort of retool their process or retool how they go about bringing clients in, and it's a bit more difficult. The good thing is, I know you're probably thinking, well, Amy, none of that sounds good. Here's the great news. I began my design business literally like the same week or week after the oil prices crashed. And shortly after they crashed, a whole bunch of people got laid off. And I'm not just talking about lay people. I'm talking everyone from the very lowest paying jobs all the way up to C-suite executives. So it wasn't like one section got culled. It was just sort of all levels across, but mostly in the oil industry. Now, what happens when you have something like that happen, it always filters out to the sister industry. So the construction industry took a huge hit. And then all the rest of the industries start to get the effect, right? Because if people aren't earning money or they're struggling for a job, then all of a sudden they're not spending as much. So what gets me excited about it is this. Even though I know it's a challenge, even though that challenge that is very present and very real, contrary to what a business coach tried to tell me one time, that, it's just in your mind, that challenge excites me because it will take out the worst of the worst. So when an economy is really bustling, then just about every, Jim, Bob, and Joe can make money in an industry. The barrier of entry is relatively low. So if you could be, for example, in the design field, you could be a terrible contractor, but because there's so many jobs out there, you can still do a reasonable business. There's just the sheer volume of work is so high that it would support that. When things start to get tough and people starting to tighten up on their purse strings and tighten up on their budgets, then it's not as easy. You need to level up in a whole new way. So one of the things that excites me the most, I know I have been extremely fortunate in my situation that I do have someone who's able to help me float along in the tough times. It hasn't been all gravy in my business either. It's been new. It's been a growth process. It's been a lot of me learning and implementing and screwing it all up and then trying to figure it out all again. So I do know that I have a beautiful advantage in that way. But here's the other thing. I would not be continually booking work if I sucked. If I didn't value my clients, if I had terrible processes in place, if I wasn't all about making the experience so much better for the clients, then it wouldn't matter how much assistance I had, my business would close. I would have to, because I wouldn't be able to bring in any work. So the fact that I'm still bringing in work, and what really jazzes me, the challenge that I did last week was all repeat clients. There was one new client, but she was a referral from someone who I'd done work with before. So basically all repeat business. That says to me that I'm doing something right. That tells me that my clients like what I have to offer. They see value in what I have to offer, which explains why I was able able to sell so quickly those design sessions because they're like, holy crap, Amy's only selling it for this much. We need to take advantage of this now. I have clients who booked a session thinking about renovations they're doing next year, but they know that I almost never ever offer something like this. The deal that I offered last week, I've never offered before. And so they take me up on it because they know how good of a deal it is. They get crazy value for the money that they're spending. So they're thinking ahead. A lot of my clients think ahead, which really you need to do when you're bringing out a designer, because as much as we can help you, get your stuff done now, there's a process to construction. And if you're trying to figure out what the products you're going to be putting in, say your bathroom renovation, and you're starting on Monday, which I've done, by the way, I've had clients literally call me a Thursday afternoon and be like, we need to see you tomorrow. Our bathroom starts on Monday. And I'm just going, you got to be kidding me right now. I'll use more choice words, but I'll keep it clean on the podcast. So what I find exciting, I digress a little bit. What I find exciting about the fact that the economy is challenged, it's struggling, is that it takes out the worst of the worst. And what happens is typically those people will somehow find a job, whatever it is. And that might seem sad in a way, like, oh, well, they couldn't make their business go. The truth is, so I love this. I've been watching Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And he talks about the justice in comedy, that it is about the most just profession because you either are good or you aren't. And if you're not good, you will know. The people will know that if you suck as a comedian, no amount of money or influence or swagger or false confidence or anything can make up for that, and you won't have a career. You can't talk yourself into being funny. You can't convince people to laugh at your jokes, right? So it's such a unique way to look at it if you think about it. And I can't think of a lot of businesses that are like that, a lot of industries that are like that. I think comedy is somewhat unique in that standpoint, that it's people either like you or you don't. And that's why there's also a whole range of comedians, right? It's not just the Jerry Seinfelds, or I love Eliza Schlesinger. She's one of my favorites. There's lots of different brands of comedy, and there's comedians out there that I can't stand, that I just I don't want to listen to. But if somebody didn't think they were funny, they just would have no career. So when the economy is struggling, it kind of adds that leveling of the playing field. You either need to be really good at what you do and bring a ton of value and really treat your clients like gold, or you're looking for a job. So it's exciting in that way. To me, that excites me. So what I want to talk about today, I feel like I'm going a little bit all over today, so I apologize. We'll call it period brain. She's a little all over today. I went to this lunch learning seminar today, and she was talking about the 4 pillars of sales. And they basically were, I believe it was mindset, strategy and process, it was beliefs, and I forget what the fourth one was. But anyway, they make sense. But the first and the last, which was the mindset and the strategy and process, she says is what people usually don't think about. They discount those. Now, I will tell you, I will stand on every soapbox all around this whole big blue marble and tell you, if you aren't working on your mindset, then you're going to struggle. And I know this because I did it. So here's the thing. Here's what I want you to really hear from me today. So really pick up on this, will you? Let's get cozy here. My business, I've been in business for 5 years in my design business. I know for a fact, like it's written in stone, that if I had been working on my mindset from the beginning and hadn't taken on a whole host of unhelpful and limiting beliefs from a coach that I thought was going to help me get some results and ended up not, and ended up actually giving me negative results. Had I been working on my mindset and doing all the learning that I'm doing now, right from the start, my business would have blown out of the ground. It would have been amazing. Now, it's not that my business has done bad. I shared with you my numbers just a few weeks ago. Yeah, my first year operated at a loss. I would dare you to show me most businesses who don't operate at a loss in their first year. You're figuring a lot of shit out in the first year. My second year, profitable. Third year, again, operating at a loss. And as I looked at those, and I talked about this a few podcast episodes back, I looked at what was happening in my mind and in my business and in my life at the time? What was tying these ebbs and flows together? And one of the biggest ones was my mindset, which is why I'm so mega focused right now on learning and growing, which is why I've brought a coach in to I'm finally, let me tell you, I'm finally beginning to see this as an enormous investment in myself and in my business. I talk about the fact that you are the most valuable asset in your business. I know this. And yet, even I struggle with the idea of bringing on a coach as not being this, self-indulgent luxury thing, right? It sounds so backwards. And if you ever talk to a life coach, they will tell you it's the most backwards thinking in the world to think that investing in yourself and investing in your personal growth and your emotional health, to think that that is self-indulgent or a waste of time or like just throwing money away is the silliest thing you could possibly think. And for people who think that doing personal growth work is easy, they've obviously never done it. Because personal growth work is some of the most challenging work that I've ever done. There's probably as many tears going through the work with my coach as there is going through building my business. But the tears are different when I'm working with my coach. There's still frustration and there's still like, oh my God, I wish I knew what to do. But it's always a clearing of something. Every time I have a session with my coach, there's a leveling up. Every time. It's amazing. I have to share this with you because it just blew my mind. It's so exciting. I have had my eye on winning the $60 million lottery for years. I'm not interested in anything else. I'm not interested in the 5 or the 10 or the 20 million. I'm only interested in winning the $60 million lottery. And so I set myself a rule, basically rules of engagement, that I would only buy lottery tickets for the 60 million lottery. Now, this week I had a coaching session with my coach. And so she's into it. She understands all the atmospheric stuff that's going on right now. And there's a whole bunch going on right now within all relationships. So relationships to self, romantic relationships, any kind of relationships with other people. But for her and I, we were specifically looking at the relationship to myself and the idea of being able to receive. This is a big thing in my life, is to learn how to receive. So we had this amazing coaching session on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm hustling my hiney. I had a design session that I booked last week. I got different things. I go to the gym at the end of the day, and I'm on the treadmill, and I generally don't look at the TVs at the gym because I would like to talk to who does the programming. It's like the news, so then it's always Trump, or it's just the crap of what's going on. And the last thing that I want when I'm standing on a treadmill working my ass off is to be staring at crap news or a cooking show where they're deep frying everything. Like, let's not focus on that, or cake shows, whatever it is that happens to be on, or it's a soap opera. So there's nothing on TV that's really worth paying attention to. So I always have a podcast in my ears, and what I usually do, I got these amazing, I will say this, Chatters has these really cool business cards that on the back of the business cards, it has things like, you glow, you are beautiful, things like that. So I put a card on the treadmill and I just focus on that while I'm listening to the podcast. So I'm on the treadmill yesterday, forgot my card. And so I'm trying to keep my focus, off the TVs, but I happened to catch on the TV, a man had just won the $60 million lottery. On the TV, literally 20 feet from my face, is a man holding a $60 million and $2 check. And I got so freaking excited seeing this guy on TV because here's why. I have never, ever seen someone hold a $60 million lottery check. I know that they've been won. I know that people have won the $60 million lottery multiple times, right? Not one person, but they get one all the time. So I know what happens, but I have never actually seen it. I saw it twice yesterday. So I saw the guy the first time, and then a few minutes later, he came on again, and literally never saw him for the rest of the time. Here's why that excites me, because you're probably thinking, Amy, what's the big deal? So you saw somebody holding a $60 million check. What I have been learning, and this is why personal growth is so key, is that as you begin to see those things that you desire showing up around you, it means you're starting to align with them. So up until this point in my life, I had never seen someone holding a $60 million check from the Lottery Corp. I've probably seen pictures of like 15 million or whatever, but I'd never seen someone holding a $60 million check. I saw the image twice yesterday. Do you think that I spent the rest of the time celebrating on the treadmill and visualizing myself and my guys standing there with our names on the check, holding that check on TV? You bet your ass I did. I was so freaking excited. I texted my coach. I said, you won't believe what just happened. I'm so excited about this. I think it's the universal law of correspondence. Don't quote me. But basically, when you start to see other people having what you desire around you, you better start celebrating big, because that means you're actually coming into alignment with what it is you need, or what it is that you desire. So I know lots of people talk about this with the example of the car, right? You're thinking about buying a car. Let's say you would really love to buy a Ferrari. All of a sudden, Ferraris are all over the place, even though you never saw them before. Now, I love my Subaru WRX. Every time I'm in it, it makes me so happy. I see WRXs everywhere. I think part of it is the fact that they're selling like hotcakes, and our market is really hot for it here. But I noticed them, right? And I noticed especially white WRXs. When I was still visualizing the car that I wanted, I saw them everywhere. So that happened yesterday at the gym and got me super freaking excited. So I am coming back. I'm coming back. I apologize. If today feels a little all over the place, please bear with me. I promise that everything that I'm telling you is good, and it's just my thoughts collecting into a 40-minute podcast. So here's what I want to touch on. I went to the Entrepreneur Center. I went to this lunch and learn all about sales. I learned some new things, but not a lot of new things. But this made my jaw just about hit the floor. We are approaching the end of the presentation, and I've been taking notes, and I had, a few things written down of things that I wanted to come back to. And then the presenter said something that, like, literally I had to close my mouth. I had to pick my jaw up off the floor, because I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Did you just say that? She said, if you don't know how to budget, you have no business starting a business. If you don't know how to use Excel or to build a spreadsheet, you have no business starting a business. Now, here's one of the reasons why I tend to stay away from trainings like that, because in my experience, they are rooted in traditional sales speak. Now, I know, I think from what I understand, she has a very robust business. She does lots of sales training. She probably does a very good job, and I'm sure she's highly knowledgeable and highly trained. But what I see is things like that. Those are that's not just a red flag to me. That's a freaking avalanche sign with blasts going off and horns blazing. That is something that says to me, you're out of touch with who it is that starts a business. I'm going to be honest with you right now. If you don't know how to make a spreadsheet, I don't give a flying ass. I don't care. I don't care if you don't know how to put together a budget. And in fact, because of all the reading and learning that I've been doing, one of the things that I have been learning is that budgets don't work, right? Now, here's when a budget does work. When you are, for example, for my design clients, I need to know how much money you have to spend. That's your budget, because I can't just walk in and you're not just going to give me a blank check and say, go nuts, do whatever it is you want to. Somebody's got to pay the bill. So I always need to know a budget on my design clients so I know what our parameters are. What are our rules of engagement, right? But a budget for your business, while you definitely want to have something like that, you don't need that to start. And for goodness sakes, you don't need to know how to make one to start. These things, these old think ideas that have been perpetuated and are being sold out there to new entrepreneurs makes me so freaking angry, because I look at that and go, what does a budget have to do with running a profitable business? I'll tell you, not a whole lot. And you do need to know your numbers. You do need to know the ins and outs. And yeah, you need to have some idea of what's available, so you're not just blowing all your money. The same, like I said, the same with my design clients. I need to know what they're willing to work with. But if you don't have a budget and you're getting started, figure it out, right? You'll learn on the way. That's the beauty of starting a business is if you love learning, start a business. You're going to learn so much, your pants are going to catch on fire. It's going to be amazing. And buy some Kleenexes in bulk because you'll probably need those too. But this idea that if you don't know how to build a spreadsheet, that you shouldn't be starting a business, I was one step away from being like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Pardon my French. I couldn't believe it. So, and it got me thinking about what I'm building with Dare to Begin. One of the big core reasons why I stepped into this journey and took up the challenge that was given to me is because of bullshit like that. Because I spent 12 grand on a business program that talked about stuff like that basically took my money, loaded me with a whole bunch of beliefs that kept me from going anywhere, and let me tell you, didn't make me the money that was promised to me. And it was processes and stuff and things that needed to be put in place that I couldn't afford, that I didn't have the time to do because I was a solopreneur, bootstrapping the whole thing and trying to figure out how to make it work. There wasn't a team behind me. There wasn't somebody that I could hand stuff off to. And I was not about to sacrifice every waking hour I had to go and try to build this thing. Because I'd heard too many stories of people who put everything they had into their business and everybody around them walks away. I didn't want that. They sink everything they got into their business and they gain weight. They're unhealthy. They have a heart attack when they're in their freaking 30s because they're so stressed out. That's not what I wanted. So I had to figure out how to build my business without all of those things. Does that mean my business built slower? Probably. And like I said, had I gotten my act together and worked my mindset from the beginning, I know my business easily would have tripled what it did the last few years. Easily. But I didn't. I was following the advice of this old school think that, sales is the most important thing and you need to do this and you need to have that and you need to have that. Now, I won't disagree with the idea that sales is the most important. One of the things that I love that she talked about is, focusing on your top line. So your income, the revenue coming into your business. She said, without a top line, you have no bottom line. And that makes total sense. If your business isn't making money, you don't have a business. We've talked about that before in the podcast. But there's a play of time. And one of the reasons, and I build this into my course, the idea of managing your time is that I don't believe you should be working all of the time. Now, I know there are going to be times in your business that you are going to be working more than others. But what I see too often is this ramping up and this hashtag hustle baloney that basically has people burning out, spinning their wheels, trying to do everything all at once, and in the end feeling miserable because they're seeing no results. And that's not okay to me. And that's why I started this. That's why I'm so passionate about bringing it out. That's why, even though I had a failed launch in May, and even though I have no freaking idea how exactly I'm going to bring students in, and I deal with my own insecurities and doubt around launching this product, and oh my God, what are they like? Are they going to actually want to pay me money for what I'm putting out there because I'm still testing it, or I'm not Tony Robbins, or I'm not whatever. I don't have all these big things behind me. But the reason that I keep pushing forward, and I promise myself I will figure it out, is because I'm so tired of stuff like this. You don't need to be saddled with that when you're starting a business. You don't need to be, trying to run all the gears and then have somebody saying, why are you spending your time on that? You need to go make sales. Because I'll tell you what, you go listen to somebody who's into marketing. Why are you spending your time on that? You need to be focused on marketing. Then you go listen to a branding specialist. Why are you spending all that time on that? You need to be focused on building your brand. Every single niche part of the business will tell you that's the lifeblood of the business. But everything can't be important. So I talk about this with my design clients all the time. I love having an accent wall or some beautiful lighting or something. But if everything stands out, nothing does. So I work with design clients all the time that see the trends of whether it's glass tile or this really fancy light fixture or, the two-tone cabinets or these fancy cabinets or whatever. And they want to bring it all in. And I say, we can't. We can't because first of all, it'll be way over budget. And second of all, none of it will sing anymore. You focus on one or two things to really be the shining stars in a space, and everything else around it complements it. That's the goal of a design project. Look at any well-done space. Whatever your design aesthetic is, I bet you there's going to be one or two things that you could pick out of there that you really love. Maybe it's the seating or the furniture or the seating arrangement. Sometimes it's just the way the space is planned. Maybe it's the wallpaper or a really stunning light fixture over a dining room table. But what I can tell you probably you won't see in a space that really speaks to you, that you really love, that you're just like, I want to spend some time in there. Everything is not something that stands out. There's going to be one or two key things that stand out, and everything else supports that. And so your business is no different. Your business, you need to build a foundation in place, get the processes in place, make sure that it can run and grow. And once you start to get that in place, then focus on those extra things. I'm not saying don't do any sales because you're busy building your foundation, or don't do any marketing because you're busy building your foundation. What I am saying is that you can't just go all or nothing for one thing, and you can't try to do all at the same time. You will burn yourself out, and in probably very short time. And so I think this is why a lot of new entrepreneurs really struggle, because they don't have a way of filtering out, and everybody seems to know more than they do. I know, I still think that way, and I've had my business for 5 freaking years. I still assume that everybody must know more than I do, until I listen and I really pay attention and I go, well, you know what? I understand that. And I learned that in my first year of business or my second year of business. And I'll tell you what, doesn't work. And if I put all of my time and effort into that, I'm either working every freaking hour of the day, and then there is no time freedom. And usually they're the same person who says, I'm going golfing this afternoon, or I can work whenever I want to, and blah, blah, blah. And so great. So they're golfing in the afternoon, but then they don't tell you that they're working in the weekend. Or they don't tell you that they have to spend all their evenings working, right? And it's not about not being able to do the golfing. It's about building something in place so that your business can grow, that it can be profitable, and that you can tweak and work on each piece as you go, but without overwhelming your stuff in all the crap. I hope that makes sense to you. If you've been anywhere in building a business, wherever you're at, I'm sure you've had that. And so many people, when they're starting on a new journey, whether it's building a business or losing weight or learning a new language or whatever, there is so much information coming at you. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to have that. Make sure this is in place, and make sure your website doesn't look bad, and make sure you have your email marketing set up. And there's just so much. There's so much. And so what happens is you get frozen in indecision, because you don't know where to spend your time and your focus. And if you're building your business on the side, if you have a full-time job or something that you're working in the meantime, then how do you account for all of that? Let's say you have 8 hours a week to work on it. What do you do in those 8 hours? You sit in front of your computer and you're frozen in indecision because you don't know what's most important. I mean, can I get an amen? Does that sound at all true to you? I know that sounds true to me, and so many entrepreneurs that I know, that they really struggle with that. I see it in Facebook groups and chat groups all the time. Where do I start? Someone please tell me where to start. So, it's a very passionate topic of mine, in case that's not coming across. I'm like crazy passionate about it, because it drives me crazy to see experts dump shit like this on people who are pursuing a passion, have a desire to serve the world, and aren't maybe the super well-versed or highly educated business owner. So they don't have their MBA, or they don't have specific sales training. That's cool. They don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it, because that's not your job. Your job is to learn how to do some of those things. But are you going to become an expert? Probably not, because you can't be an expert in all things. It's not called a jack of all trades and master of none by accident. If you are a jack of all trades, you will be a master of none. Because in order to become an expert, in order to become a master at something, you got to do it over and over and over again. I know that as a designer, I am approaching expert level. Now, I'm no commercial designer and I'm no true color expert, things like that. But the service that I focus on, the way that I serve my clients, I know I'm approaching expert status on that. I've been doing it for 10 years and it's becoming easier and easier for me to figure out what my clients want and need and to bring it together faster for them. But you can't do that right from the beginning. And I don't care how to, get all the planning and stuff in place to make my marketing faster right now when what my focus is to serve my clients in their best form. Or if I am focused right now on bringing in more clients, which is what I am focused on right now, then there are other things that need to go, they need to just set aside for a moment, right? Because I cannot do all the things. There is only one of me. That's it. It's just not the one of me. So this brings me to the challenge that starts tomorrow. Now, if you're already signed up, I'm so freaking excited. I'm pumped to do this challenge with you. If you haven't signed up, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a free challenge. It's 3 days only. You can sign up at daretobegin.net/thelaunchpad, all one word. And here's what we're going to talk about in a 3-day challenge. I am for the first time ever, so I said I'm trying new things. I am trying this whole challenge business is brand new to me. So I'm super curious to give it a try. And I think it's going to be phenomenal for you. But it's an experiment. I'll be honest. I have no idea. It could be a total flop. But I think it's got to be good. Day 1, I'm actually going to marry in the 10 years of design experience I have to help get your business going. I called this the Launchpad for a reason. Day 1 is all about your actual workspace. So we're going to talk about your workspace. We're going to figure out what's working, what's not working, how to make it better, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to have free training that when you sign up, I'll send you the links to catch the free training. That's what day 1 is going to be about. And the reason that I want to talk about that on day 1 is that if you don't have a space that you can focus and really build your business on, you will never actually launch. You're going to be sitting there spinning your reels going distracted by the Netflix or your guy watching TV or the dishes in the sink or, the laundry that needs to be done. So day 1, I want to address very specifically your actual workspace. Day 2, super excited, we're going to talk about bringing some money in. Why is that day 2? Because without money, your business does not exist, right? Like my sales friend said today, without a top line, you have no bottom line. And so she's totally right. She's not right that if you don't know Excel, you don't have any business starting a business. But she is right that if you have no top line, you have no bottom line. So day 2, we're going to be focusing on sales. I have some really exciting ideas for you to boost your sales immediately. All right. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to work. And it's going to require some work on your part. So if you're willing to step in and try something new, then I invite you to join me, daretobegin.net/thelaunchpad. Sign up. Day 3, we're going to pull it all together. The reason that I've kept this as a short challenge and I focused on specifically your workspace and your bottom line is that those are the 2 things that are going to really set the foundation for your business. They're going to become the launch pad for your business, hence the Launchpad Challenge. Now, I'm going to give you a little heads up. At the end of the challenge, I am going to offer you the opportunity to join my 6-month beta testing program. All right? Why am I telling you in this podcast? Maybe I shouldn't be, but here's the thing. People sometimes get offended, which is funny. And once you start learning how to sell your stuff, you're going to figure it out. But sometimes people get offended when someone offers them something at the end of some free training. They're like, why are they always trying to sell? Or now they're just moving into the selling stage, right? Here's the thing. It's not about selling you something. It is about providing you with a system that I know works because I've tested it in my business. And like I said, if I had the mindset piece on point in my business from the beginning, my results would be even more stellar. So within the process that I teach, within the system that I have, I do talk about mindset. It's built into the system. There's a very specific reason for that. But I'm also offering you incredible value in the free training, and I want you to be able to succeed in the fastest and highest possible fashion, which is why I want to offer you the opportunity to join the I think it's the launch pad. It'll be the 6-month launch pad. Don't quote me on this. Again, I'm on period brain right now, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I'll figure it out. Now, here's the thing. All right. I am only for this challenge offering it at such a crazy, ridiculous price that it would like literally my mastermind group this week was like, Amy, you need to make the price higher. That's not high enough. So it's higher than what I thought, but lower than what they suggested. And I'm only doing it this once. I'm going to do a challenge or some variety of launch platform over and over and over for the next few months. And I'm going to tell you why. I am testing launch platforms. Now, what does that mean? This business, Dare to Begin, is an online business. All right. I sell an online product, which is the course. I sell online information. All the training is done online. It's a wholly online focused business. It is totally different than my service focused business where I engage people and I bring people in because they want to work with me. Now, online is still the same in that you're probably joining me because you want to work with me, but it is a different model of getting the word out there. So because it's different and I'm still trying to figure out how all the pieces work, I'm testing things. I finally moved out of this idea that, it didn't work the first time. And so I just need to keep literally beating a dead horse and went, what if I launched every month rather than every 4 months? And I could ramp up my rate of learning. This is something I've been learning in my reading, to ramp up your rate of learning. So we'll talk about that a little bit in the Launchpad Challenge. I guess it's this week, but it's on this podcast comes out. But the reason that I want to do that is that this is a whole new sphere. So I don't know what's going to work. I don't know if those of you who are listening say, Amy, a challenge sounds amazing. Or if you're going, oh my God, here's another challenge. I don't want to do it. Right? And I could wait another 4 months and be like, okay, what am I going to do for the next 4 months? I don't want to do that. I want to ramp up my rate of learning. So this time around is a challenge. I don't know what it's going to be next month, but I will tell you this. If you join me for the challenge this week and you join me for the free training, I am going to give you the opportunity to jump in on the 6-month Launchpad platform where you're going to get Lost to Launched Academy. It is in beta test right now. Huge amount of value in the program for sure, but I'm only offering it on this Launchpad challenge for the crazy price that I'm going to be offering it for you to. And I'm not going to tell you what the price is right now. You got to join me in the challenge to find out. All right? So if you hum and haw and you're like, okay, maybe I'll try it next month, that's cool. I'm not saying that you can't do that. You definitely can. But next month, the price will be higher. And every month that I launch, as I figure out the launch vehicle of how I'm going to get the word out, give you fantastic training and information and get you and your business going and growing. As I learn what's going to be the best vehicle to do that, the price is going to go up until it's full price again. All right? So join me at daretobegin.net/thelaunchpad, all one word. Sign up. When you sign up, you'll get an email from me. Don't forget to do the double opt-in because I want to have everything set up that I am Europe savvy. Everything is set up to be GDPR adequate. Sorry, the word ran out of my mind. So it's all set up to be GDPR approved, which means you're going to get the double opt-in. So you're going to get an email just confirming, did you want this? Please say, yes, I do. Otherwise, you won't get anything else from me. And then I'll send you the email that tells you how you can actually join us for the free training. All right? And I would love, and so deeply appreciate if you're listening to this on Tuesday, or even if you're listening to this Wednesday or Thursday, please join us because I'll leave the training in the group for the duration of the challenge and maybe a few days later. So you can always catch the training afterwards if you can't catch it on the day of, and the offer will still be available to you if you join me in the challenge. But if you know somebody who could benefit from this, so here's who I'm looking for. Someone starting their own business in a service-based industry working from home. Okay? That's really the key of who I'm looking for. If it's someone who is doing a service-based business, but they're needing to rent a space or what have you, they will still get value from this. But my expertise and my knowledge is not in renting a space. So I have no basis to teach from to share how to negotiate your rent or how to know which space to get or what is, the greatest value of square footage for your business. I don't know any of that because I've never had to do it. And I didn't ever want to do that. That's something that I know I've thought about in my design business. But the way I look at it, if I'm paying for a space, that space better be making me money. And in order for that space to be making me money, it has to be open. And in order for it to be open, I either need to be there or I need to have staff. And that was a whole bunch of overhead that I wasn't willing to take on. So I made a very conscious decision to work from home. And so that's who I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone with a service-based business that is working from home, where your primary, whether you're going out to meet clients is irrelevant, but where your basic business operations, so your emails and your everything else is essentially home-based. That's who I want to talk to. So I would love it if you would either share this podcast or just tell them, go sign up. The link is daretobegin.net/thelaunchpad. Get in there, jump on the beta program. Like I said, it's never going to be this price again. So you're going to get so much value from joining in the beta program. It's going to blow your mind. All right? And share it out on Instagrams, please. And tag me. I Dare to Begin. That's where you find me. I have loved bringing you this episode. Thank you so much for bearing with me today while my brain sort of bounced around a little bit. But I trust that you got some incredible value from this. And if nothing else, I want you to hear this very clearly. You do not need to be an expert in everything to build a successful and profitable business. You cannot be an expert in everything and build a successful and profitable business. But what I can offer you is tools and training to get you going so that your business foundation is set in place, that makes all the early stuff that I don't know where to begin. I'll tell you where to begin. I'm going to show you exactly how to get started. And I will get you all the way into this phase of going, all right, my whole business foundation is in place. And now I can really start ramping it up and bring in the money. And now I can practice some of the other things. That's what I do. That's what I've learned how to do. That is what I will say I am definitely an expert in. All right? So just know that. Know that you can figure it out, and I have a system ready for you to try it out. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. It's been my sincere pleasure joining you in the podcast. I wish you a fantastic week, and I am so excited to see you inside the challenge. The Launchpad, you can find it at daretobegin.net/the Launchpad. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.